Well, the world of golf has always got something interesting, and it's no one more interesting than Daryll Egdes, who is the Joint Managing Director of the Corp Group. And of course, if you think about golf, or you talk about golf, Daryll's name comes up quite often. Daryll, you've made a massive contribution to the game of golf, and it all started 30 years ago in a little store in the middle of Johannesburg. How's it evolved, and what has ignited that passion for you?
Oh, Dave, thanks. It's been a fantastic trip, and it really has been enjoyable every single step of the way. I started as a varsity dropout, which was kind of the requirements for joining the business in those days. And we started off, I guess, trying to win customers over with a lot of service, a lot of love, and literally one customer at a time. And what started as a very small store in Commissioner Street evolved and grew to the business that we have today. And I must say, I'm very proud of what we've achieved. But the big thing is we've had a lot of fun doing it, and hopefully we've made a contribution. We've played our part in growing the game, getting more people to play golf more often, which is really the essence of our mission.
Well, you've come up with some amazing ideas along the way. You now have 16 stores, 6 driving range facilities, game improvement facilities, a host of professionals, and it really has evolved into a massive business in South Africa.
Yeah, I think, part of that was by design. A big part of it was out of necessity. And I think, when we started the business, it was all about retail. It was about selling golf clubs, balls, gloves, shoes. That was it. But as the business evolved and as the business grew, it went through phases where there was either greater growth or less growth, depending on just the cycle of the industry. And through the early 90s, we were going through quite a traumatic period in South Africa. Many people were emigrating. Mr. Mandela had just come out of prison. A lot of people were pessimistic about the future. And I guess all those guys who emigrated were golfers or potential golfers. And at that point in time, the industry was very male and pale. We were kind of stuck in the past in many, many ways. And we felt if we didn't get behind creating development initiatives, nobody was going to. And so we embarked on this journey, which has been absolutely fulfilling and very rewarding in terms of getting the new generation of golfer into the game. I think one of the things that we found in the early days was, people started playing because their parents played.
Yeah.
And that was the natural introduction into the game. When this whole black community of potential golfers emerged, there was a massive void because none of their parents played golf.
Yeah.
And so it was about getting people to see a game that was inviting, that was unintimidating, that was friendly, fun, and very rewarding. One of the statements that we came across in the early days also was by Tita Mboweni. And he said he encouraged all black businessmen to play golf because they're going to hear things in the boardroom that they don't hear, or they're going to hear things on the golf course, should I say, that they don't hear in the boardroom. And that gave us a lot of impetus and momentum to drive the growth of the game amongst the middle management black executive. And, I'm very proud to say that at a facility like this, where we started in 1998 with 1% of the membership being black, today 55% of it is black. And so that's a wonderful achievement that bodes well for the industry as a whole, because as an industry we haven't yet got those numbers coming through, but it shows the potential.
We're talking about a facility like this which encompasses every element of golf, from the gym, the teaching professionals, the wonderful different facilities to practice your game. Let's talk about your game. I know you're a rather accomplished golfer. You don't give yourself enough credit. You're playing off a 6 or 7 handicap regularly. Where's your home club, and which is your favorite golf course in South Africa?
Dave, I play out of Houghton. I recently joined there, when I say recently, about 4 or 5 years ago when the new course opened up. I'd been a member at Killarney for 30 years. And I moved to Houghton simply because I thought I'd be able to play more golf if I played with my son, who was a member there. And I guess we do play a bit, but not as often as I'd like. But I absolutely love playing. These days, the short game is in much need of help, is in intensive care more often than not. I chip one-handed, I putt badly, and so getting the ball in the hole is not as easy as it used to be. But I still have a lot of fun when I play.
It's nice to see you with a smile on your face when you're talking about that, because I think a big area of growth is family golf. We see a lot more ladies playing. People are encouraged to play the game as a family. Do you see that in your facilities?
Yeah, there's no doubt. We see the need for it. We don't actually see it coming through that much because I think golf still has a journey to go down in terms of making facilities, family entertainment centers, and creating platforms that are less intimidating, that are easier to play. I think one of the difficulties and one of the barriers to participation is the degree of difficulty of the game.
Yeah.
And so I think, particularly for ladies who are maybe physically not as strong, difficult for them to get the club head through the rough. They don't generate that much club head speed, so they don't hit the ball that far. And with the evolution of technology, what's happened is golf course designers, golf directors, and all those guys have started setting up the courses in a much more difficult manner. And so the benefit that technology in theory should give you has been neutralized by the way the courses are set up, and that's actually been counterproductive to getting new people into the game. So I think, golf directors and course designers and that should take a step back, and they should encourage people to score better, to have the rough cut down a little bit, to run the greens a little bit slower, to make the distances of the holes a little shorter, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that would go an enormous way to getting greater participation, and that in turn would then help families. I think from a club point of view also, to encourage juniors to play in peak times would be a fantastic thing. To get husbands and wives to play together would be a big thing. But in many clubs, we still encourage the traditional male four ball on a Saturday morning and that kind of stuff. And I think we've got to move along with the times also.
I agree with you 100%. I think part of your success, as you've built this magnificent brand, commonly known as the Pro Shop, you've associated yourselves with equally high-powered and high-profile brands along the way. How has that influenced your business? And from a corporate perspective, what have the benefits been of those associations?
Yeah, David, it's a very interesting question, that. And the truth is, I said our mission was about getting more people to play better golf more often. And that's been a critical driving force. But the way we've been able to do that is to try and create platforms that were more affordable and more accessible. So one of the difficulties that we have is you got this club membership system that was quite closed, and for outsiders coming in was difficult and quite expensive, and golf had many perceptions that were negative towards it. And so we had to start breaking down those perceptions and change the way people thought about the game. And the way we believed was going to do it in a most efficient manner was to create a platform where guys could play when they wanted to play, which was a big thing if you weren't a member of a club, and at more affordable prices. And so what we did is we created an environment where we essentially bought distressed stock and subsidized it by then making it available to the broader community at lower prices. The subsidy was absolutely critical. And it definitely created many, many rounds, where today we have about 45,000 rounds a month booked online through our various platforms. But the truth is, we wouldn't have been able to create these subsidies if we didn't have the support of our sponsors. And, the sponsors are the Momentums, the Lexuses, we've had in the past guys like Vodacom, we've had Liberty, but without the massive support of corporate, we would never have been able to make it possible.
Well, there you can see it. The game of golf is in good hands if you talk to the big fella, and there's a lot of fun to be had in all of their facilities. If you want to enjoy the game of golf, go and buy yourself some nice equipment with great advice, and then entertain yourselves at one of these wonderful facilities. If you do that correctly, you'll be well on your way to enjoying this wonderful game of golf. Thank you, Daryll.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much.